Welcome to Street Art Unearthed, where we interview some of the world's most prolific artists to discuss what compels them to take their artworks to the streets and how they became the super street art icons that they are today. I'm your host, Stephanie O'Brien. As somewhat of a hyper-level street art fan, I have travelled 6 continents documenting the ever-evolving art form in some kind of attempt to immortalise whatever I encounter. Street Art Unearthed is an extension of that pursuit, where the art takes a bit of a backseat and we instead get inside the mind of the master creators that bring it to life. Thank you so much for joining us. Street Art Unearthed is brought to you by splatters.com, the online street art publication, where you can find street art news, artist interviews, and even downloadable maps on where to locate the best art in cities across the world. Check it out at splatters.com, splatters.com. On this episode of Street Art Unearthed, I have with me one of Brisbane's most prolific artists. He's been active here in the graffiti scene since he was in school, and he's been a big name in mural art for more than a decade. I'm talking about no other than Drapl, whose paintings can be found across the city and all throughout the state. While Drapl has travelled and painted far and wide, he has a soft spot for painting on home soil and does incredible work with rural Australian towns, transforming them with beautiful, massive murals which capture culture, history, and tales of the region. On the show, Drapl tells us about his artistic evolution from spraying himself in the eye with his first spray can to painting 37-metre high solos in the Australian outback. Humble, joyful, and immensely talented, this is Drapl. Drapl, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast, actually. You're Brisbane-based, as am I, or you're near to Brisbane anyway. And Since I have moved back in January, I see your work almost every time I leave the house. I think you must be one of the most active street artists here at the moment. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I think it is fair to say. I've probably been around for probably some of the longest times in Brisbane out of any street artist, and I like to be active throughout the whole of Brisbane and not just around my local area. Because I paint for a job, I just paint everywhere and anywhere I can these days.
Nice. So did you grow up here?
Yeah, I grew up in the Gap in Brisbane.
Cool. And you said, so you live out of town at the moment, but you said that you'd come in almost every day to paint. Is that right?
Yeah, I live in the bush on acreage, but I'm constantly up and down the mountain. I love it.
Nice. I found that really interesting when you mentioned that you live out in the bush. I have this image, I guess, in my mind of what graffiti artists and street artists would be like, and I sort of imagine these city dwellers. So it's really interesting to picture you escaping the city and kind of going out to your little peace and tranquility and then coming back in to share your paint with us.
Yeah, well, I'm a lot more creative than just art, and when I moved up, I built tree houses and cabins and lookouts and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's the reason I can't live in the city anymore. It's too much creative expression to get out of me, and I can't be held down in a unit or a small block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. How big are your tree houses?
Oh, you can live in them.
Really?
I've got a cabin that I'm building at the moment with a loft bedroom, and I could Airbnb it if I wanted to, but it's more of just a little escape from my other house, I guess.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Do you paint up there as well?
Yeah, I've got a little studio that I built out of an old carport, and I paint in there because all my paint's there and it's power there, and yeah, it's my space I go when I want to paint canvases.
Nice. Yeah, so you're predominantly murals, and then is canvas work a big part of what you do, or is that more to express?
I'm trying to branch more into canvas work because murals, they really take it out of you after a while, especially if...
Can imagine.
work for customers that you don't really express the same interest for what you're painting. Or you're doing commission work that, so I really like to paint my own canvases. That way I post on Instagram and then people can go, oh, that's the sort of stuff that he likes painting. And that way I get work doing that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
a
also,
good idea.
It's a way of just sustaining my future. Like if I get a name for being a canvas artist, then I can work anywhere. And I don't need to work on murals so much.
Yeah. You have a really interesting background, which I kind of want to delve into. You grew up in the graffiti scene from like grade 6, you mentioned. How did you first get into graffiti art?
Yeah, there's few moments in my history that really drove me towards graffiti. Like when I was young, I was a born again Christian. I was sort of forced into this life by my dad, and I used to drive around with my parents and see like coal trains and things where we're driving around and just start seeing the same graffiti names everywhere. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And I just remember my parents saying, no, you can't do that. You can't do that at all. That's bad.
Makes it more tempting.
So that sort of got my brain ticking over, and I started like drawing little bits of graffiti and stuff. And then my mum's parents, my mum's friend, she had this massive property, and it was getting sold, and they were knocking the house down the next day, and she gave me and her son some spray cans and just said, just go nuts, paint the house.
Amazing.
And so we just started tagging and doing stuff. I didn't really know what I was doing. And that ended up me spraying myself in the eye with some enamel paint. And
oh, shit.
That stopped pretty quick.
Wow. So did you have to go to the hospital, or how did that end?
No. So I just kept washing it out until it came good. But I sprayed myself in the eye again. But that sort of started it all. And then like I just used to see tags everywhere. I'd just keep drawing until I started just going out by myself and tagging with chalk and stuff and writing my name back the front along the bike track and stuff like that until my mum saw it.
I was going to say, what did they think about that?
Oh, wasn't too happy, but then then it sort of progressed from there, and I started meeting like-minded kids at school, and then like I remember in grade 8 just like rocking up to school and seeing other kids had tags on their diaries and stuff, and that sort of progressed it a little bit more.
Yeah. What was the scene like at that time? Was it just a bunch of people your own age, or were there... I don't know anything about the graffiti scene, really.
An older group of graffiti writers like all throughout Brisbane, but we didn't really see that scene because we were just trying to figure out what the scene was and doing little tags here, there and everywhere. And then, you just see stuff. There were certain names that were just popping up everywhere around Brisbane. But then what really spun me out was going to holidays in Noosa and seeing the same tags there. And I was just like, is this a whole group of people, or is this one person? And then out as just like one person. It blew me away that people were just going around just everywhere they went, and that pushed me into doing things. Whenever I went anywhere, I'd do a tag in the drain or something, because I liked the experience of coming across tags in weird places. I think that's the beauty of it, was for me. Like, it wasn't my name everywhere. It was just letting people see it in different spots and going, what's this person doing here?
Yeah, it's almost like a little code, and only people that are in the scene kind of know what's going on and you recognize each other. Yeah,
and also like the only way that we could see other people's work is by catching the train, or there was like couple of magazines at the time, Hype magazine in Brisbane, and they were like pretty hard to get our hands on as kids. But that's what really sparked the interest. Like as I started getting a bit older and started seeing this stuff, like this is pre-internet days.
Yeah, it must be harder to get access to your community.
Yeah.
And so can you talk us through how this sort of transition? So you're still into graffiti art, but you're also now a really prolific street artist, painting murals and a lot of like realistic, massive pieces throughout the country, and you've also done some work internationally. How did you start to shift into away from tagging or developing, I guess, expanding on top of it?
Yeah. So, like, after school, I was, like, always creative and still doing, like, I don't know, chalkboards for florists, or I worked at a while. I used to do this chalkboard on the main road there, and I was also doing canvases that time, and, like, people were getting me to commission to do, like, kids' bedrooms and stuff like that, or I was doing my mates' bedrooms.
Cool.
While we were still sort of, 17, 18. But, I started a trade doing air conditioning and did that for like 8 years, and then just realised how much I was just hating it. Like, stuck up in a roof space every day in the middle of summer and 50 degrees in a roof space in really dangerous conditions. And then I just remembered, like I was living with Zoffels at the time, and he was out every night painting, and I'd get up enough to go to work, and they were just coming home from painting all night, and I was just like, geez, what's going on in my life? How come I can't have any fun anymore?
Yeah. And I guess when you're in the same scene, it must be getting pretty jealous. You have the potential to do the same.
And showing me photos of these amazing missions they'd been on, and I was just like, oh, I'm off to work.
Damn.
Yeah, then I guess like I got busted pretty bad around that time, around like 2008 or something, and
okay. What for?
That's what sort of sparked me. I remember a judge saying to me, if I see you again, you're going to go to jail. So I thought, okay, I'll pull my head in now and start using art for a different reason. And
so that was for tagging.
What was that, sorry?
Were you put in front of the judge for your graffiti?
Yeah. I've done a lot of graffiti in my time and been in trouble for a lot of it, and then I just realised, that was the turning point. I can't keep doing graffiti anymore. I have to use this and start doing street art. And this is sort of when street art was becoming a thing. And so I ended up quitting my job and telling my boss I'm going to start a mural business, and he just laughed at me and said, "Oh yeah, a couple of weeks." And
bastard.
And so me and a friend started graffitimurals.com.au.
Okay.
And it was pretty a hard start. Like I was doing a lot of other sort of work just to keep myself afloat. And like quitting, like my job of doing aircon was good money, and it was hard to give that up. And also, had a lot of flack from my parents saying, "Oh, that's the right idea." But I soon showed them when just started getting heaps of work and was just given so many opportunities, and the opportunities to travel for work and
How did that come about? That when you set up the business, did you just get on the phones and call people, or people were already aware of your work and they just thought, yes, finally you're free?
I just my friend was quite savvy on computers, and he did advertising, and he just sort of said, I think there's a market here for what you're doing. And we had a whole bunch of people that were interested in painting with us. And, it was at that time when you could just see that street art was starting to become popular, and you could tell that people were willing to pay good money for it. And so, like, we had a couple of little exhibitions and kicked it off, like, as a big party sort of thing at this Hotel Orient in the city. And, yeah, sort of like opening party, sold a bunch of paintings and a bunch of T-shirts. And then, yeah, all of a sudden we were on top of front page of Google because there wasn't really any competition. No one really site. And, yeah, we were sort of like the go-to guys
Awesome.
at that time.
What's it like now? Bit more competition?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's so many more artists doing murals these days, but I think the whole thing is just developing your own style and trying not to be put in a box for one style. Like, because I've painted murals for like probably over 18 years now, like as in like actual murals, not just graffiti. And so through that time, I've been given jobs doing all sorts of different things. I've painted every single style, realistic, abstract, painted a lot of things I didn't want to paint. I did heap.
Can you give me any examples? Without throwing shade on anyone.
Just like doing things for like well, I did one for McDonald's, and I can't stand McDonald's, and I said to them, "Don't put my name against this." I said, "I don't want to be in a company. I'll do this painting, but first thing is my face pops up, and they've tagged me in this on a Facebook post," and I was just like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Yeah, done a few shameful things like that, or just corporate companies trying to use and abuse street art just to gain cred. That's one thing I just can't stand anymore, and I never did stand it. But sometimes when you really need money, you have to. When I was young and just thinking that this was like a really cool thing. Oh, we're doing a job for this company, and then you realise that they're taking advantage of you. So.
Yeah, well, you've got to get paid somehow. I'm a content writer by profession, and yeah, I do the same. Yeah. I'm lucky now I work mostly with clients that I really like, but yeah, in the beginning you just have to take whatever will pay you money.
Yeah.
It's fair enough.
Changed a lot. Like I still have this business and I still have a website going in that business, but I just keep it open just for random jobs that might come through and pick and choose now. Like, I really think Instagram's just been the best thing for every artist, really, because you showcase your own things and all of a sudden you have people just wanting your personal art. So
yeah. And you seem to, from a lot of the stuff that I've seen of yours, you gravitate towards having kind of a female muse in your pieces. Is that your preferred style, or the one that you sort of gravitate toward?
Yeah, that's what I love to paint the most. I love doing portraits. I was doing lots of sort of trying to do photorealism portraits, but I really like just doing these abstract ones now. It's what I enjoy painting, and I really my element when I'm really just throwing house paint around and just watering it down and letting that drip, and then sort of refining it as it goes along. But I'm not really sort of stuck on one style at the moment. Like, I also enjoy painting just abstract colours sometimes and good messages, or female face is it's definitely something that I'm working on and trying to produce my own style as much as possible.
Well, the ones that I've seen, they're beautiful and really vibrant in colouring. The one at Rick's in particular, I used to walk past that one every day on my way to the office before we were not going to offices anymore. And it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
When you started your business, was that around the time that Campbell Newman was mayor? You mentioned that he did a good job
Yeah,
of killing the scene.
yeah. So I just looked up when he was in power, and that was 2004. He was the Lord Mayor, 2004 to 2011, and I realised that that's the time when I was doing the most graffiti.
Yeah, getting in the most trouble.
Yeah, but he totally had no love for arts at all, and as anyone in graffiti scene would know, he um he totally painted out every single train line green within about a year, in I think 2005, and then he started the anti-graffiti task force, and so all of a sudden there was just a massive team of police searching out any graffiti artist, and everyone was getting in trouble, and Campbell was painting over murals that were actually legal murals, and like there was some big Lister paintings in the valley, and some um, even murals that have been there since like early '80s and stuff on the train lines that were iconic murals, and everyone loved them. All the graffiti writers like left them alone because they knew of their history, and yeah, everything was gone, and that sort of really sparked a lot of anger within the graffiti community, and he really sort of ruined. I think he ruined something that was a lot of culture in Brisbane. Like
Yeah.
all the train lines still have spray painting all over them, and I think a lot of people like catching a train and seeing colour.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
he just no love for any of it, and yeah, that sort of sparked a lot of anger in a lot of artists, and that's when sort of street art was trying to appear, and he would just paint over it, or council would paint over it next day. So
Gosh, history
forced
will not look
back.
favorably now that it's so appreciated across Australia and in Brisbane. You know, it's just a shame to have all of that wiped out.
Yeah, and yeah, just seeing how much has changed is really really spins me out. Like, and now I just see like even my parents' reaction to my work. They just absolutely love it, and they're so proud of me now. Whereas 10 years ago, it was just total opposite. And now, like my biggest fan, she just loves all my work, and
I guess it's like, yeah, they fear for you.
yeah,
Nice. And so, one thing I really admire about you as an artist is that you really love Australia and you want to spread your art throughout the country, not just kind of travel abroad and flex your skills over there. You've been doing a lot of rural projects. You're in what Minton, is it? I've got the name wrong.
Monto. We just got back from Monto last night. Yeah,
Monto. Yeah. How is that?
I absolutely love it. Like, that's another thing that's so beautiful about street art is the amount we can travel into places that we've never seen before. Like, I
Yeah.
would never have gone to Monto or to Thalen or some of these places that we painted silos in
Yeah.
without the art taking us there. But
Yeah.
it just gives me so much more appreciation for just like just places that we would never go. And I would love to travel a lot more overseas, but since doing this, I just want to just keep exploring Australia because there's so many cool spots and so many lovely people and
Yeah.
opportunities still within Australia.
Absolutely. How is it? Is it new that there's an appreciation for this massive, large scale art in rural Australia?
Yeah, I think it is. It is still quite new, but it's mainly due to tourism. Like,
Yeah, of course.
you can pretty much save a small town through tourism. Because I know when droughts are on or there's fires, you lose a lot of people wanting to go to these areas. But with the rise of grey nomads travelling around in the vans, then all of a sudden you just have this new demographic coming into a small town and spending that, even though it might only be $5-10, there's probably a million of these people travelling around, looking at silo art trails or just public art trails.
Yeah.
And out west, especially in country towns, like, that's what's drawing me more and more to it, because starting to get in the city, hard to find spots, and so
Yeah.
you get into everyone just wants you to paint everything.
That's cool.
Oh, can I paint that? Can I paint that? And they're like, yeah, just go for it.
Beautiful. Is the Silo Trail, is that one organization, or is that just independent people that have kind of collaborated on this? How did that come together?
Well, the Silo Art Trail is originally in Victoria.
Okay.
Like Juddy Roller in Melbourne has it's got a lot of Victorian artists and artists from around the world to do the trail in Victoria, but there's actually just like a Silo Art Trail group on Facebook, and so it's not a business venture. It's just someone just has compiled it all together and given a map of where everything is, and so
it's awesome. I read that they were grey nomads that put that together. The map. Very cool.
Lovely people. Like, I've met them, and we've had dinner with them when we were in Sea Lake in Victoria painting site.
Nice.
Had a chat with us, and yeah, they're lovely people. I love anyone who gets behind the art scene, and it's beautiful that the older generation are getting behind it.
Yeah.
It's never the case.
Yeah.
10 years ago, if an elderly person saw you with a spray can, they'd be scared.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. I grew up in Toowoomba, and I went back there in December, and I was documenting all of the street art there. It's another town that has just been completely overhauled. As you know, you have plenty there. But yeah, I was so shocked at all of the older people that were coming up, and they're so proud, and they wanted to show me where their favorite murals were. It was really cool. I could have never imagined that growing up there.
Yeah, no, what First Coat's done in Toowoomba is just amazing. I was so stoked to be a part of that, and just to see, everyone was just getting behind it all. I don't think I had any negative comments there the few times I've been there, and
Nice.
I really think the stigma's gone from street artists or graffiti artists being gang members, or
Yeah.
what the media used to portray us as.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Now, one thing I wanted to talk to you about with the silo art, these are massive for anyone who's not from Australia or doesn't know what we're talking about. How tall would you say these silos are?
Well, the tallest one that I've painted was 40 meters at the peak.
Is that scary?
It can get really scary.
Yeah. Does the wind bounce you around a bit?
Yeah, as soon as it's over 50, you can't be up there. It throws you around, and when you're up there with someone else and you've got a basket of paint and you've got power tools up there, spray guns and stuff, like, there's hardly anywhere to stand, and it can get really hairy at times, and you've just got to keep your wits about you so much, because Australian weather can change very. Anyone who lives in Australia knows a storm can just come out.
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're up there stuck in it. So it takes
Fuck.
a little bit of time to get down from and maneuver. So yeah,
Yeah.
they look at the weather every day and just constantly be on the bomb, just checking things out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how do you, like, that must be a skill on its own to paint at that large scale. How does that work? Do you sort of draw it out beforehand? And I don't know. Yeah. Can you talk me through it?
Yeah, so a lot of things have changed with like concept drawings and stuff over time, and getting an iPad and getting Procreate app on the iPad. That's pretty much what I'd say 80% of artists are using for concept drawings these times. But taking a photo of the silos and then mapping it all out, gridding it all out, and using different methods, like it wouldn't really be possible without the use of technology. Like the iPad's just changed everything for the better in ways of just how we can do things and actually how it's going to look beforehand. But every artist has got different tricks, but I think most people are gridding it out on the iPad and mapping out sections. So what the main trick that myself and Zookeeper do when we're painting silos is we prime the wall white or grey first and then make a whole bunch of random marks on the walls. Usually we just tag it with our spray gun and we'll just write funny things or do stickman drawings and just things. And usually the public just start freaking out going, what are these idiots doing up there? Tagging it.
They're going off script.
Yeah, so we'll do that and make as many marks as possible. And because it's on a curved surface as well, you have to sort of keep that in mind as to where the image is going to sit on the curves so that you're not stretching an image so much, or you have to work in the stretched out image as it curves around out of the viewer's eye. And so once we've made all these marks, we'll take a photo and then overlay our image on top of that photo in a ghostly transparent sort of look. And then we're just both up there with our phones, just working away, just mapping it all out from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what is that like as well? You do a lot of collaborative pieces. Is it tough to find people that you sort of are in tune with? Do you need to have a rhythm together, or does technology kind of help you to be able to piece it out?
No, it's generally you have to. Like I collaborate with so many people, and generally they're my best friends.
Nice.
And you just have to learn how each other works. And like when I paint with Treasy, we go off on we usually paint a different style altogether. We mix our styles together. I'll paint a portrait, he'll paint some like psychedelic art around it, and then put a hidden message in there or a message that's written there. But when I paint with Zookeeper, we generally are doing silo projects or rural projects, and we just know how to use our time wisely and not stuff around, just get to the job and make it happen. And sometimes, like, it can feel like work, but we're getting paid to be out in these country towns away from our families and homes, so we just really want to just get into it and get things done.
Yeah, that's nice. And do you feel, you must feel quite connected to the towns. How do you identify the pictures that you're going to paint there?
Yeah, so that's actually what we were doing in Monto this week. Was we're painting a silo there in a month's time.
Oh, cool.
We went down there and painted these walls pretty much just to show the locals what we were about, to prove ourselves and say, this is us, have trust. and we get shown around the place, taught a lot of history, and just taken to lovely spots for photos, and then we'll develop our concept from what we've seen and heard around the local area, and then so we're designing some concepts later on today, actually, for Monto silos, and yeah, it's just good. You have to be there. You have to be in amongst the community. You have to earn people's trust before you can do a big project like that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of time, effort that some of these committees that have got the money and the funding to do these things, they spent like 1 or 2 years getting these things off the ground. So we have to really take it seriously and do the best effort possible.
Can you give us any initial insights into what you're thinking of painting for them, or is it hush-hush?
It's not hush-hush. We're not really 100% sure ourselves, but
in development.
In Monto of the three moons, and there's an old Aboriginal story that I'd really like to display, because it's not really been showed much in the town, but so some Aboriginal shearers would come, and because they weren't speaking English to the farmers, they the farmers would just say, "Come back in 3 moons," and sheep again, and they'd go off to the Carnier Gorge or where they were living, and they'd just come back in 3 moons' time, and everything in town has like these 3 moon logos. The silos we're painting is actually called 3 moon silos, so I'd to associate that. But there's also another story of this bushman who was in the Carnier Gorge, and there's a moon reflecting in the creek bed in the water, and there was a moon reflecting in his billy can that he was cooking on, and then the moon in the sky. And someone's already painted this image, but it's pretty cool style. Like,
nice.
There's just so many like stories in Australia that need to be told through art. And myself and the zookeeper would love to display a lot of the Aboriginal stories, but sometimes people just sort of dismiss them a bit. So yeah, it's going to be hard to get this one across, but we'll see how we go.
Fingers crossed.
It's lovely just to paint landscapes, because some of the sunsets you see and everything's just so beautiful out there that sometimes that's all that's needed.
Yeah, I in the article will definitely use the picture you sent me of the star-studded nightscape by the silos that you painted. Incredible.
Yeah,
it's been at least 20 years since I've seen stars like that. That's sad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing, because especially in rural towns, when at night and you're standing in front of these silos and you look up and you can see everything, and we'll sometimes
must be surreal.
Yeah, I suppose I get it every night where I live too. I'm far enough out of it.
True, very true. So what's your career highlight so far?
So the Darwin Silos was a massive step up for me and the zookeeper, like in terms of we just got our boom lift tickets. We could paint as high as we wanted to go now. And when we finished that, like, I was so proud, and like just coming home, and then got a phone call from Australia Post, and they wanted to use it on a stamp, and they made the silo stamps, and all the rest of the artists who have done silos got some stamps made. And
amazing.
My grandfather was in hospital really sick at the time, and I bought this set of stamps in for him, and like that was just a massive highlight because he was just so proud of me. Because I guess I don't really see stamps that much or use them anymore, but the older generation really know how much of a big thing that is. So
Yeah.
that was a good moment, showing all the nurses in the hospital, grandson, what he's done, and he was showing them pictures of other people's silos, and he's going, "Which one do you like best?" And he's going, "This is," and so he passed away a few weeks after that. But I was pretty happy for that for him to see that. Yeah,
That's beautiful. Nice. And we do have to wrap up in a moment, but I wanted to ask you, so your tag name is Drapl, which started off as Dr. Apple. Where did this come from?
Well, I really like apples.
Okay.
And, like there's little apple stickers and stuff on apples, and I don't know, just when I was young, I was just like, Apple, Dr. Apple. But also when you're trying to develop a tag name, you're trying to find the best way that letters sit together.
Yeah, okay.
And so like you can't put a letter that doesn't sit well with the letter in front or behind, because sometimes the letters need to lean on each other. But the DR, and so I was like, Dr. Apple. Got rid of the L and the E on the end because that was too long a tag name.
Yeah. And is this a name that do all of your friends call you Drapl, or is it just like an art name? I've always been curious about this.
It's just an art name. Like my friends call me Trav.
Okay.
But people who don't know my name, they all call me Drapl. I like to be called Drapl by anyone in the media or anyone trying to or even if I'm selling canvases, I'm Drapl. I don't think I need to put my real name on there.
Yeah.
Also, Drapl was the only tag I've never been in trouble for. So it was my first tag, it'll be my last tag.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned that there were some people that you wanted to give a shout out to.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of people in my art journey that have really really helped me along, and probably the main ones, Treasy, Soffles, and definitely a big shout out to Zookeeper, because he keeps my head in check, and we like doing big projects together, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more. But just all my mates and my graffiti crews that are sort of always there for me if I need help. But
nice.
Yeah, there's hundreds of people that have influenced me all around the world, but definitely Treasy and Soffles. Big thanks to you guys for always being by my side and showing me all these new techniques.
Amazing. I'll add links to both of them so everyone can check them out as well. And awesome. So what's next for you in the immediate future, and what are your future plans?
Well, I really want to just keep living in the bush, and I think the only way that I can do that is by continuing to paint a lot of canvas and large scale stuff, so that I can keep on this track. Like, just definitely want to paint more silos, more water towers, more huge around Brisbane and Australia. But I also want to be able to paint a lot more of my own style work. Yeah. And not be put into a box as someone who can paint anything and everything.
And how can people support you? Like, where can they follow you, for example? And then, also, if there's other ways that they can support you, let us know.
Yeah, well, just mainly Instagram is my main thing, just at Drapl. I don't use Facebook so much because I don't have it on my phone.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just Drapl on Facebook, or Drapl. It might be a few.
I'll add a link.
Yeah, but yeah, no, just supporting the arts by buying prints and canvases. That's another thing I really want to start selling some prints of some of my works. A lot of people ask me to sell photo prints of some of my pieces that that I have amazing shots of, and yeah, just want to get my name out there as more of a canvas artist and have a few more big shows. I think I'm hoping to have one before the end of the year, depending on what this virus is doing and if I'm allowed to. But if I get the time, I want to just be putting together a massive show of like 20 pieces. And when I'm talking 20 pieces, they'll be large canvases, like 2x2 or even bigger.
Nice.
Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled on Instagram for that if you want to support my shows.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much for joining me. It was really fun to talk to you.
It was great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening, folks. That was Drapl. Make sure to check out his work, follow him on social media, and get along to support the awesome projects that he does, both for himself and for the communities and cities across Australia. You will have links to all of his social handles in the description, as well as the other killer artists that he's mentioned throughout the show. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe or follow, and do leave us a review. We would really love to hear your feedback. I've been your host, Stephanie O'Brien, and this has been Street Art Unearthed by Splatters.